Welcome to your favorite Tennessee Titans podcast, Tennessee Titans Weekly. Jacques. Jacques. What's up, folks? What is going on? Good afternoon to you. Shout out here on Bleacher Report, man. Hey, Jacques, we're 3-0, man. The Titans with a big win in the preseason, 30-27 over the New Orleans Saints, man. Tighten up. Shout out to the Titans. That's what we did in the preseason, man. Proud of these boys, Jacques.
We haven't done that since 2001. 3-0. So, hey, salute to those gentlemen. Salute to the coaching staff. Salute to the leadership, man, bringing in a competitive roster to compete. And we got the W, man. And we haven't scored 30 points since 2021. So, interesting little tidbits there. But shout out to the Titans. Shout out to Callahan, man, getting the job done and coming home. And now we just got the most important thing to do is to get down the roster cut day. And then we get on to Chicago. So, man, again, salute to the Titans, man. Salute.
Yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and bounce into this thing, man. I know people tired of waiting. But give us a reason why the Titans won this particular game, the third preseason game against the New Orleans Saints.
Well, before I answer that first question, man, I'm going to eat some of this New Orleans gumbo that I got. That's pretty good. It's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. Some good New Orleans gumbo, man. I had stored up in the freezer. So the reason we won this game, man, I really think it's play calling, man. Overall, I think Brian Callahan did an unbelievable job, man, in setting up the offense based on who was in the game, right? When Will Levis was in the game, when Mason Rudolph was in the game, and same for Malik Willis, he put in strategies overall for us to succeed. To your point earlier when we were talking, not so much an aerial threat, more of an inside threat against the New Orleans defense, right? It was open. Whatever was open for us, we took advantage of that. I haven't really seen the Titans over the last 10 years move the football like we have had in the preseason, right? Because majority of the time we would run the football, play control football, and I understand that. But we're getting the football out to everybody. Everyone had an opportunity to succeed in this game. I was very impressed with the first team offense, and more than anything was the blocking up front with the offensive line. Not only did we pass block well, we ran block as well too. We continue to push the Saints. Now, again, I understand the New Orleans Saints didn't have their starters up front. You know, they missed Cameron Jordan. They didn't even have Marshawn Lattimore at corner. They didn't have Tyrann Mathieu at safety. I understand that. But this is a young unit, this offensive line, and you can clearly see we're better, right? And so I really like the things that we've installed on offense with Brian Callahan, with getting the football out from Will Levis. He was 7 for 8 for 118 yards today. So that's really good. Then you look at Mason Rudolph. He threw the ball 15 times at 144 yards. And even Malik Willis, 3 for 4, 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. So to have 3 quarterbacks to succeed and score 30 points, something that we don't do. We don't do that against a pretty good defense. I know it's preseason. I really like the way that we were prepared this game. We ran the ball very well. We had 64 yards out of Jabari Small, even though he had a fumble. Not only did we, we looked at everything overall. We had 445 yards of total offense. The Saints only had 300 yards, right? So 6 yards per play. So that's rare for us, right? We normally run the football, play ball control. We were able to not only throw the ball very well, but pass the ball. And I got to give that to Mike Callahan. We just look smooth. We just overall look smooth. If you look at the blocking, you look at everything that we did, man. Hey, shout out to Brian Callahan and the offensive play calling as to why I think the Titans won this game. What about you, Jacques?
I mean, same, though. Like, again, Callahan, and I'll even go to the defense and switch it up, man. Denard, what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball, to have them flying over the field, playing aggressive, getting to the point of attack with T-Sweat. Harrell's getting some juice in there. Even had Caleb Murphy show up. So defensively, man, just to equal to what the offense was able to do. I know New Orleans did score some points, but that's our second, third team, and fourth team defense. But again, defensively, they had a competitive edge as well. And go back to your point, even with the offense and the offensive play calling itself, again, Callahan's system, man, is an analytical system. And when you look at his system and how he does things, he judges it like that. You can tell I'll go to the quarterbacks. Each quarterback has a specific playbook for their style, right? And he tailors that each one to their style for each one to be successful. So the Titans fans should be excited to have a leader like Callahan come in here and do something we haven't done in a while. Like you said, the offense looks efficient. It looks smooth. Play calling is efficient. Is smooth. The offensive line, even the second stringers offensive line was blocking pretty decent. I know they let up. The third string let up like at least 2 or 3 sacks, but you could tell he was looking at certain situations because that's how they have to grade from their perspective. Not only trying to win the game, but you got players that are trying to make the team, trying to do evaluation. When it does come down to cut day, you're trying to say, hey, okay, what scenario, what situation are we playing in this particular situation where I can say this player gets a plus grade versus this player having a minus grade. So again, salute to the Titans on there. Salute to the leadership in Callahan. So that's for me, Hawk.
Facts, no paper, Jacques. So looking at it as well, man, with the Titans again, 3-0 in the preseason, man. Very proud of how well they've played. They've been playing very, very, very well organized, very well structured, very well coached for sure. So now we're 3-0, Jacques. Now you have always said, Hawk, whatever we do in the preseason, we do in the regular season. I have always been on the case to say it's 2 different situations, right? Because I've seen teams go undefeated and not make the playoffs, or vice versa. I've seen winless team make the playoffs. There's somewhere in between. So given we're 3-0 in the preseason, how do you now feel about the Titans going into the season?
So I've had 3 games to evaluate them, training camp. I'm actually, say, excited from a play calling perspective. And what I mean by that is, like you said, the consistency, something the Titans have not been very well at doing, even, man, dates back to a decade ago. They haven't been consistent. And when we are consistent, there's a problem. So what I've noticed in these 3 games is play calling. I'm going to go back to play calling. Callahan, and this is not even the actual playbook. That's the cool part about this whole thing. I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but in preseason, you're not doing you're not in your bag, to say the least. You're not deep in your playbook. You're not in your situations. You're not called. He dialed up some cooler plays, but it's just simple things. And his simplicity of how he calls plays, it almost looks new. It almost looks like a real playbook from what we're used to seeing as Titans fans, right? We're not used to seeing the ball being pushed downfield like it was even on the first team offense. We're not used to that. And we went down there super quick. We look like a team that's supposed to be in 2024. That's just what it is, right? And so I'm excited from that perspective to see that bleed over into the actual regular season. I've seen enough to say, okay, in these past 3 games, I've seen the same thing. 4th and 1, analytically says go for it, quarterback sneak. Shout out to Callahan, actually on the 4th and 1 play that he did call, where he had Will Levis kind of roll out a little bit and throw it to what's his name? The running back, number 20. I'm catching a blank.
Pollard.
He threw Pollard in the flat and Pollard took off with it. Great play call. So I'm anticipating those type of play calls. Unlike the last regime, which was very conservative. If it was 4th and 1, Vrabel, he was iffy. He was like, maybe I'll go for it, maybe I don't. Maybe I go for it, maybe I don't. Callahan has a system in place, and he has a system in place where, from a play calling perspective, I think I kind of know we're going to be fine. From the overall record, again, my focus is there, but it's not just there yet. I was just trying to see how things were going to play out. But for me, I'm excited from that perspective. And you, like you said, Hawk, I live by that. I do see certain things in preseason that do bleed over into the regular season. So what about you, Hawk?
So I would say this, man, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got that poll question out there, by the way, as well. So, make sure to answer that. As far as 3-0 in the preseason, how do I feel? So I'm feeling pretty good. This gumbo, by the way, really good. I'm going to say this, man. I think overall, from the start of the preseason to right now, at the end of the preseason, my mind has done a flip, so to speak, because I see promise from our team. I see opportunities for us to be a good football team, maybe better than what people have us. Most have us as going to finish 4th in the division. I still don't think this is a strong division, by the way. But I think that, when you look at the Titans, most people have us in the bottom 5 of the league. Right. When you look at the way that we're playing, the way these guys have bought in, the way the coaches have been coaching, we don't look that bad of a football team. Mm-hmm. We're going to have challenges. We're going to do our schedule show to sort of figure out exactly what it is. But I'm going to tell you, I'm more excited now than I have been all season, all preseason, all off season, because I see the promise of the offensive line. I see how well they've been coached. I see the fact that we're finally pushing the ball up the field, not sideline to sideline or hope to get a big play here from the run game. We're pushing the ball, throwing the ball, play action, the offensive line setting the tone. I've seen that all preseason. And I'm speaking more about the starters, right? I'm really, really excited because the fact that we got 3 receivers. We have 3 legitimate receivers out there, and Calvin Ridley in particular. Now you have Tyler Boyd, and then you got D-Hop coming onto the field. I'm really excited on the fact that we're going to be better than what people think. I don't know if we're a playoff team, but I think we're trending upward to be a playoff team, if not this year, maybe next year. I think we got the pieces in place. We haven't had that. We haven't had that consistency of people seeing eye to eye. We have that. And when I see players like J.C. Latham, when I see guys like Peter Skoronski, guys that are really blocking their tails off and making things happen to give Will Levis an opportunity to throw the football and to make things happen, I see that being a promise, where that was a struggle for us last year. With Pollard, Tajay Spears, that's a different dynamic than what we've had over the last 20 to 30 years, where we have 2 running backs that can run and catch the football and push the ball up the field. We haven't seen that. So I'm more excited than I thought I would be when the season started. Not sure where we're going to finish, but I'm excited, man.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. So same thing. Hope you excited. I like it. So when we go to roster cuts, and that happens on Tuesday, who will be the surprise, I guess, player that you can see making this roster?
Great question, man. And we have that poll question out there, by the way, y'all, as far as who will be a surprise. I'm going to tell you who I think I will be surprised that will make this team. And he's undrafted, right? And that's the tight end, David Martin Robinson. Okay, the tight end. Undrafted. We do have other guys on the team as far as tight ends. We got Nick Vannett, you have Josh Wiley, and you have Chig, right? You have those guys, right? It's your 3. So normally you only dress out 3 tight ends. But with our offense, even with Josh Wiley, not sure if he's going to be ready as the season starts, I think you might have to sacrifice another position, maybe 1 extra lineman or 1 quarterback to put in an extra tight end. And if that's the case, David Martin Robinson is making this football team. I don't see him getting cut. If he gets cut, he's getting picked up tomorrow, okay? Not only does he have an opportunity to catch the football, he blocks very well. He's got great size. And it's really shocking he didn't get drafted because at Temple, he played very, very well in college. He had 94 catches in his career. So this guy knows how to make plays. But even today, 4 catches, 45 yards. He's had at least 3 or 4 catches in every preseason game for an undrafted guy. Even when the game was on and Rand was talking, he was excited about DMR, right? So just like Nick Westbrook-Akina in the past, an undrafted guy just out of the blue and make the team and stays on the team, I think you got that in David Martin Robinson. I do think he will make the 53-man roster. Y'all tell me what y'all think out there as well. So that's who I think. What about you, Jacques?
Man, again, like you said, DMR, man, he's done some amazing things throughout the preseason. I can see him making it. Bryce Oliver, it's a long shot, but I think with Bryce, you're not carrying. You might carry 7 receivers. I can see you doing that, but it's a loaded room. You got Jaquan. You even got the kid from last year from Georgia. But I do like DM. I can actually see, we agree on a lot, but this one I definitely see. I can't really see any others, but I do see others. But David Martin Robinson for sure, he's just done enough to where you can say carrying three tight ends that you can really justify it and say, okay. And again, Wiley's hurt, so you're going to have to carry 3, maybe even 4 tight ends. I don't see a 4th one, but maybe at least 3 until Wiley gets back on his feet. And the thing about Chig too, we need Chig to kind of wake up. So David Martin is coming out the blue and he's reliable. Something that I noticed, he's very reliable and he shows up when he needs to. So DMR, bro, I believe when it comes to Tuesday, you're gonna have a roster spot, bro, for real.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jacques, I got to look at on the other side, right? So, as Rand Carthon, shout out to Rand Carthon, by the way, man, and putting this roster together, there has to be the other side of this. There's going to be a lot of tough decisions to be made. So, tell me a player. There's going to be several players to be cut, but if you could highlight at least one player that you think that could be cut from the Titans 53 and why.
Unfortunately, Rashad Weaver, man. this preseason, man, has not been kind to him, especially with the emergence of Jalen Harrell from Michigan, and then also Caleb Murphy, who had a solid game today, and he's been showing up throughout the preseason as well. I see Rashad, man. I see flashes. I see he has the potential to be a quote unquote starter, right? But I think sometimes the injury still kind of messes with him in his mind. Because even today, some of those effort plays, I'm looking and I'm like, he kind of took off there. Even the sack that he attempted to make. Again, I just don't see enough effort. And even him, he got bullied a couple of times today. I was seeing him on the ground a couple of times. So for me, I think Rashad Weaver is kind of ran his course. And I like Rashad. I actually liked him coming out of Pitt. But I just think that with the emergence, if Jalen Harrell didn't emerge like he emerged, I think Rashad would still have a shot. But Jalen is out there getting pressure to the quarterback. I don't know his pressure rate. And then also with Caleb Murphy playing at a high rate, I just don't see it's overcrowded. So I think he's the odd man out. And he's a veteran too. So what about you, Hawk?
So we have that poll question out the way is out there as well too, as who you all think could be cut. So we have 4 names out there. Rashad Weaver, of course, being one of them. I'm going to stay on defense. I know a lot of people might think a lot of other players, whether it be Julius Chestnut, Malik Willis, Caleb Murphy, Rashad Weaver. I think Trey Avery, man. I think Trey Avery will likely be cut on this team. And I say that because Trey Avery's been here. You know what you got in Trey Avery, okay? Last season, when it came to, I think, passing beyond 20 yards, Trey Avery was in last place in the league last year as far as quarterback rating, meaning that if you threw the ball deep on Trey Avery, the likelihood of it being caught by a receiver was very high. Mm-hmm. Trey Avery competes. Trey Avery is he's a decent corner. He might make it somewhere else, but our corner room is packed up. And I think overall, when you look at the corners, of course you got Awuzie, of course you got L'Jarius Sneed, you got Brownlee out there. You got other guys out
McQuarrie
there as well too. Judy, McCrary, of course, yes. So you look at Eric Garror. I mean, it's a lot of corners, but you got to look at what's one guy that's inconsistent, and that's Trey Avery. Literally, he had one good play today when they threw the ball deep to him, but it's hard to trust Trey Avery. Trey Avery's had some rough nights, man, with the Titans, man. Again, he does compete, but even when you look at special teams, some of them other corners plays on special teams. Like, Eric Garror is a returner, so that's going to help him to make the roster. You look at Brownlee, again, who's a drafted player who has a lot of potential, who's a better cover than Trey Avery right now. I think Trey Avery would probably be the one to get cut, I just think right now he has a lot to prove. I don't think he's going to get any better. I think he is who he is, and I think it's time to cut ties. If there was a player to get cut, I think Trey Avery would be one of the 53. He might hang around in the practice squad, but I do think Trey Avery might be cut from this roster, man.
Yep, I can agree with that.
Yeah, man. Yep. So, well, cool. Well, listen, folks in the chat, we're about to do our favorite part of the show. If you're watching us outside of Bleacher Report, it won't show live, but you're on Bleacher Report, it will be live. This is our live chop up. So what we want you to do, again, ask us questions in the chat. We got a few people in the chat already. Ask us questions. We're going to fire off some answers, man. And we're going to talk Titans. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about getting into the season, man. Let's get it.
That was a question in the chat. Hey, Murrow, now I don't know if they pinned to me. I don't know who this is. But they said, what 3 players do you think shined?
Good question, man. And we got that poll question out there, by the way, too. So I think if it's 3 guys I'm going to say Will Levis. I think Will Levis had a really good game today. Overall, with the, with him being in the game again, we're scoring points, and for what he's been asked to do, he's 7 out of 8, 118 yards passing today. He didn't have any touchdowns. That's a concern. But I think overall, Will Levis played very well, especially in the first series, man. You can tell he's being coached, even by his feet work, right? Even when he's throwing the ball, being more patient, being more consistent in his reads. The play action they had today was incredible. And most of that was how Will Levis sold the fake and got the football out. So I'm going to give one of that to Will Levis. Another guy that I'm actually going to give to in limited at the time was Malik Willis. You got a guy, Malik Willis, that ended up playing at the end of the game. He was 3 for 4, 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he had the game-winning touchdown. So you can clearly see he's getting better. And in this game, I think he did about as good as he could given the time he was out on the field. I think Malik Willis played a good game. And then I'm going to tell you, to me, man, honestly, it's T'Vondre Sweat, man. T'Vondre Sweat is a monster, dude. So even in that first series, he had 3 plays back-to-back where he caused disruption, whether he came too close to being a sack or stopping the running back or just crowding up the space. This guy could probably play 3 or 4 gaps, man, just by being there, man. T'Vondre Sweat is a beast. Man, watch out for T'Vondre Sweat. He will be an all-pro one day. He will be an all-pro one day. So I'm going to say those 3 guys. What about you, Jacques?
T Sweat for sure, man. The way he's just getting after it, man. Again, once you add Jeffrey to the mix, it's cool. And I want to see him in one-on-one situations, and he did not disappoint. And he is what I expected. Like, the man is a beast. And when it comes out to his get off, and then can he rush the passer, which he did. He can rush the passer. I mean, again, if you play on D-line, you can rush the passer if you get the opportunity to do it. My second person, again, I'm not carbon copy. Will Levis. Will Levis, again, looks comfortable. Little things that I'm seeing, I'm like, okay, he's being coached up, and he's being efficiently, and he's not taking the big play like he was at first. He's taking the underneath stuff and doing what he's told. Like, to keep doing that. He did have one play when he threw in triple coverage to Calvin Ridley, which Brian did say that he wished he wouldn't have took that read, which I agree. We're just looking at the film. I'm like, oh, okay, I wouldn't have took that first read. I would have took the underneath. But hey, you're gonna learn from this particular piece of it. And then I'm gonna give just an honorable mention to Jalen Harrell, man. Again, the kid keeps showing up when you need him. He's getting pressure. And I'm just looking at his placement. He's gonna put somebody out of a job. Just let me say that. So that's my 3.
Yeah.
Now I do want to get to DML2. Now I see your comment. He says you guys are short-sighted. Can you please elaborate on that comment? If you feel entitled to, please do, because I want to break it down, and maybe we can ask the question of what you mean by that. And then he also said, or whoever this is, they said we really don't know if the division will be tough. I could agree with that. We don't know, right? It's unknown at this point. We don't know. It's trending. It is trending up. We can't say it's trending down, but it is trending up. We got the Texans, who's tough. The Colts are still, to me, AR is still a big question mark because we don't know what you're going to get in AR. You don't know if you're going to get a hot or cold. Of course, you got Will Levis, and then you got CJ Stroud, and you got Trevor Lawrence with the Jags, which we already know what he can do, right? So we don't know, right? We don't know. Yeah. You're correct. We don't know, but it's trending. It's trending up.
That's right. That's right. That's correct. That's right. It's trending up for sure. It trended up last year, right? Yeah. It trended up last year. Mm-hmm. So, no one knows, right? What we're saying is that right now, Vegas has us in the 4th spot. Mm-hmm. And nor are we saying we will finish 4th. We don't know where we'll finish, right? Once we do our record show, I don't think we're going to finish 4th. You know, we had our pre-show, we had our scheduled show a few weeks ago, and we didn't have them finish 4th in our division. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right. So are we better than Houston? That remains to be seen. I'd say today probably not, right? Yeah. But, our division, we don't know yet. I think we're one of the most unknown divisions in the league because you got young guys, you got young starters in this division. You have 4 young quarterbacks in this division, right? There's no veteran quarterbacks in this division. You have young coaches in this division. You have guys that hadn't been coaching for their team for a very long period of time either. So we'll see. But Houston is on the come up. You never know about Jacksonville. I do think Indianapolis isn't a good football team right now, and I think we're kind of in between. So we'll see. We'll see.
I feel with Indianapolis is trending, but like again, I don't know what I'm going to get out of AR. I just don't. Right. Like again, he was hyped up during college, so I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jacques, do you have any concerns from the preseason, or you know what, this game? Do you have any concerns from this particular game from the Titans?
I did when I run defense, but T Sweat kind of dampened that concern. I'm trying to think any concerns. I wouldn't call it a concern, but I think just time, like getting Will Levis timing with the rest of his receivers. I think him and Tyler Boyd are pretty solid. I think besides D-Hop, that's going to be his second option. I want to see him get better timing with Calvin Ridley because Calvin is your home run hitter, right? D-Hop can be a home run hitter, but I like D-Hop as more of a possession guy. But if that's a concern, I wouldn't even call it a big concern. It's not a big glaring concern, but it's almost the timing of getting with your premier receivers versus like Tyler Boyd. I'm not calling Tyler Boyd. I'm not saying he's not a premier receiver. He's our third option. He's our third receiver, right? And so with him, I'm like, okay, Will seems to be more comfortable with him. What style of off receiver does Will like? And I think Callahan might even ask him that in the future. Like, what style of receiver do you like? Do you like speedy? Do you like this? Do you like that? Maybe because he's a name, you might not fit with him. It's like a marriage, man. Marriage to a quarterback and receiver, you have to have that marriage. People think you just go out there throwing to the man. They have to be on time. The timing is very important because if I don't know how fast you are. If you're super fast, I don't know how fast I need to throw it to that spot. Maybe I throw it a little bit too early, a second early. Maybe I throw it a second late. So that's for me. Again, I was going down the rabbit hole with the run defense, but T Sweat really dead net for me when he was out there, and I needed to see that, especially with today's game specifically. I was like, the run defense was like, oh shoot, here we go again. But then boom. Now take that back. No. We good. What about you, Hawk?
So what I look at, man, is, when the Saints had Spencer Rattler on the field, Rattler was out there dealing. He was out there throwing the ball and hitting in particular pockets. So when I looked at this game, as far as a concern, I really like the fact that, Coach Bernard Walker really likes to blitz, right? He does a hell of a job with that, right? And he's going to do that all season. But that leaves your corners and your safety susceptible of a deep pass, right? And so at times I saw situations where when Spencer Rattler was up and he was actually throwing the football and we blitzed and was picked up, receivers were open. He had the dime that he threw for the touchdown. It was a hell of a throw in between Brownlee and Brown, but he made a hell of a throw. And, and again, they were there to compete against them. But Spencer Rattler, I mean, I'm not looking at Jake Haener, though he's a second string quarterback for the Saints. I don't think that's going to be his spot. I think it's going to be Spencer Rattler is going to be the second string quarterback. So what happens when you play a real deal quarterback that can literally deal, right? So when I look at the game, there are even situations of missed tackles. I saw a few missed tackles as well, too. Like right on the spot, though, they might have missed a tackle. Other players did swarm against first teamers. I mean, you can't miss those tackles. You got to make those tackles. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those were a lot of our young rookie guys. But I just think, too, man, we have to just make sure our safeties, because we have run support safeties. We don't really have pass defensive safeties. And you got to look at, we have corners. We got very good corners. But my hope is in these blitz, even though we take the risk, let's make sure we can cover downfield, man. So that's kind of, I would say that was a concern that I saw this game. Spencer Rattler had I'm not going to say his completion percentage was great, but when he was standing upright, man, he was dealing. He had some great throws tonight, man, as a backup quarterback, for sure.
And I think even with that, Hawk, again, we don't have our premier corners out there just yet to just see that. So that's why I was actually about to go there, but I said, no, let me tamper it, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that is a concern, but I want to wait and see maybe the first game when we do play Chicago, if that turns into a trend. And I'm like, well, Brian we might need to dial back on it with the blitz. I know you like to send your safeties and your linebackers. I get it, but you might want to dial back on it if it's not working. I'll save that for maybe later on, maybe like the third or fourth quarter when we need a play, right? So great question, though. Real great question.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. If you have not followed us yet, man, you can follow us on YouTube at Tennessee Titans Weekly, man. We're out there, y'all. Check us out. If you haven't followed us on Bleacher Report, follow us as well, too, man, for sure. So 3-0, y'all. Yep. 3-0, man. We hadn't said that about the Titans in a long time in any preseason or regular season. It's been a while, y'all. It's been a while, man. So yep. Do you feel there's a different vibe with Callahan so far? Season ain't started officially yet until 2 weeks from now, but just going into the season, do you feel like the Titans is a completely different team versus maybe with Mike Vrabel over the last maybe 2 or 3 seasons?
Absolutely. Yes, the vibe is different. The vibe feels like 2024. It feels like, and I'm still getting used to not seeing Derrick Henry back there running the ball like 20 times. It's unique, but he still has almost the same percentage of run plays as well, but he's situational when he's going to do it, right? If I notice, too, on third downs, we're not in a third and long situation unless it's a penalty, right? That was certain. Even the first team, we wasn't really in third and long at all. It was like 3rd and 1, maybe. And if it is a 4th and 1, I have confidence that Callahan is saying, we're going for it. It is what it is. 2, I think on first down, we're throwing a lot more versus running, right? Because remember, we were predictable. We were predictable with the Vrabel regime. We're just predictable. This regime, they're getting to the point where they're not predictable. It's more, again, I'm going to say it again, analytics involved. It's more situations like, hey, what do we do in this situation? What do we do in that situation? What happens in this particular scenario and everything like that. So, yes, it is a different culture. It's a different vibe. It's a different offense and different defense. It's just different overall. And I just think that going into the season, we need something fresh, if that makes sense. What about you?
Yeah, man, the vibe is different, man. It's no question about that. And I think the players because Will Levis even said this, man, before the game. He was like, man, this over the last few weeks is the most I've been challenged in my entire career. And he's like, I see the difference. Even when I'm watching film, I see me being better every day. So to me, that lets you know that these guys are being coached. And I think that's the biggest part is compared to, say, Vrabel, who's a guy that can coach a lot of people from a leadership standpoint. Callahan and his crew are coaches of structure, coaches of habit, coaches of learning, teaching these players how to, say, offensive linemen. You have Bill Callahan, the best offensive line coach in the league, on your team, and that's your dad. Okay, so that already is a win in itself. And he's coaching guys to play better than they've ever played. You got Dylan Radins out there playing the best I've ever seen them. You got Nicholas Petit-Frere playing out there. What's the difference? It's coaching. Same player, same guy, same everything. A year older, but better because they're being coached. And now you have young guys, even Skoronski, who played as a rookie last year, who had his struggles, is doing great right now. So you clearly see these players have bought in to a culture of learning and a culture of teaching. And the vibe is just they're moving the football. We're 3-0 in the preseason. That's not by fluke, man. They are really playing really well under Callahan so far in the preseason, man. So there's definitely been a change. Yep. So, well, cool, man. All right. Well, Jacques, again, shout out to the Titans, man. Again, 30-27 victory over the New Orleans Saints. Again, this gumbo that I had is good. It's cold now, but shout out to the Titans, 3-0, man, in the preseason. We want to say thank you all for watching the show for sure. Again, you can check us out on YouTube at Tennessee Titans Weekly. You can check us out on Twitter at Titans Weekly 24/7. We're on Instagram at Tennessee Titans Weekly. You can follow us on Apple and Spotify and here on Bleacher Report, man. We love it, man. We out on them internet streets.
Again, thank y'all for participating in the show, man. We really appreciate that, throwing those questions out there. Again, we're getting to the regular season, getting on to Chicago. Well, first, get to Tuesday, the roster cuts. We're going to have that discussion. And then turn around and get to the most important game, the 1-0. Well, not 1-0. I'm just playing. But get into the regular season, man, with Chicago. And, man, hopefully we can pull out that dub. But, again, shout out to Bleacher Report for this opportunity, man. We really appreciate you guys. And ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. And again, Hawk, appreciate you, bro, for being a damn good co-host and a damn good friend. So I appreciate you, bro. And go ahead and take us up out of here, dog.
Same to you, Jacques. Same to you, man. For sure, dude. For sure. Yes, so yeah, y'all keep checking us out, man. Hey, we got content for the season for you, man. Let's get it in. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's tighten up, man. As we always say and as we always do, facts,
no paper.